HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us at HorrorDeconstruction.tumblr.com, YouTube.com/HorrorDeconstruction, as well as Facebook.com/The HorrorDeconstruction Videos Comp. And today's film is
Prometheus, 2012.
Has it been that long? Prometheus 2012. Following clues to the origin of mankind, a team finds a structure on a distant moon, but they soon realize they are not alone. Directed by Ridley
that's
Scott.
no moon.
Very good. Written by Diddley Scott.
Written by P. Diddley Scott.
That can go two ways. It sounds like a 1920s inventor or a guy that fucks kids. Written by John Spates. Why does it say John Spates? I don't know who John Spates is. As well as Damon Lindelof of Lost and The Leftovers fame. You should watch Leftovers. Very good show. Anyway, so Danny, why'd you pick Prometheus 2012?
Because it's everybody hates it, but I actually like it. And it's one of the Alien movies, and the new Alien movie is out, so I thought, why not
Alien
watch
Covenant,
this?
right?
Yeah, we could do this, and then we could do that.
What's your history with Prometheus? Did you see it immediately when it came out, or?
Yeah, and it's actually the only 3D movie I've ever seen, with the glasses.
This was in 3D.
Yeah, well, I don't know if... I think it was actually shot in 3D, but, I wore the glasses. I'd never done that before.
Remember when we went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy in 3D?
And it didn't work, yeah.
Something happened where it was like Danny and I, it was a horrible day because Danny and I basically, when we don't really get to see movies, and when we do, it's always a terrible experience. And we went to go see.
That's true,
actually, we saw. What was that MacGyver ripoff comedy that we saw? That was.
Oh, that was MacGuffin or something. It was like an SNL.
It was actually a very funny movie. MacGruber. Anyway,
Magruder.
yeah, we saw Galaxy. We tried to see Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1, and I think what happened was you were coming down from Long Island, and I'm such a loser. I was waiting there for 2 hours, and I always use this against Danny, even though I've made him wait about 5 hours in total, even more. And we went to go see it at this really cool theater in or near where the World Trade Center was. It's up there.
Our fucking glasses didn't work.
Yeah, the movie was in red and green, and I know the 3D doesn't work like that. And I was like, what's going on?
And it was giving me a fucking headache too.
We
really
left
bad.
2 minutes into the trailer. I was like, oh, we gotta get out of here. This is terrible.
I know it wasn't something we did wrong because I had done it at Prometheus. It was fine. So maybe it wasn't meant to be seen in 3D. Whereas Prometheus was actually shot in 3D.
I think I've only seen 2 films in 3D. Fucking James Cameron ruined it for everybody. The only 2 movies that I actually did good with, the only 2 movies that I saw in 3D that were worth it were obviously Avatar, because it was made for that.
Yeah.
I actually saw it in, I think it was 3D IMAX, so that was actually pretty great. And then I recently saw Ghost in the Shell, which people are, go batshit about. But that was good in 3D as well. That was a movie made
this was really cool in 3D. I mean, this movie, even if you don't like it, looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. So Prometheus, I didn't see the film. I don't know why. What was my reasoning to not watch? It's not like I knew there was going to be another Alien film after it. It was just a movie that didn't really interest me for some reason.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it. And so many people were saying it's horrible. It's horrible. Everybody was like, "This is terrible."
I don't understand.
I'm just telling you what they told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." So I didn't actually see it until last week. I saw it on my big screen TV, and I actually, I didn't understand why people were. I understood. Actually, I did understand why people didn't like it. But it's because those are people that want. Those are people that just want sort of. Aliens over and over, They just want Aliens Part 2 over and over.
Movie,
and here's the thing:
different movie.
I wouldn't mind seeing another Aliens type of film with Neil Blomkamp. He wanted to do he wanted to do Alien 5, and he wanted to continue the adventures. He wanted to treat Aliens 3 and 4, which are I didn't enjoy 3 when I saw it in theaters. I thought it was kind of boring. And then Alien Resurrection, I didn't like that much, but you love it because that's Brad Dourif.
I didn't love it. I thought it was okay, but I really liked Winona Ryder.
That movie was directed by a really good French director who did
the guy that does City of Lost Children.
Right, he did really good, sort of fantastical
I understand.
French films.
Put it this way: I understand why people hate 4. and especially why they hate 3. I don't understand why people hate this. Like, it's not a perfect Alien movie, but it's not a bad movie.
Yeah, coming into it, like what I liked about, like I hadn't even seen Alien. I saw Aliens and I was like, wow, that's like a perfect whatever this is that people liked about Aliens so much. I was like, that's perfect. I don't have to see any more of these movies. Obviously, I saw 3 and 4. So then I saw Alien probably about 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. I'm a really
You had
bad.
never seen the first one until we reviewed it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
I'm like that where I won't watch classic film for some reason. I mean, I've seen plenty of classic films. I love, there's some classic films I've never seen. For some reason, I think I'm waiting for all movies that I've run out to see, and then I'll see them. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But anyway, with Prometheus, with Alien, let me just make the continuation of that is that Alien, I enjoyed the world setup and the world building of that film. I really enjoyed. I think it was like about an hour and a half, that movie, maybe, or I could be wrong. Maybe it was 2 hours. Whatever. The first half of the film before the actual alien comes in and starts killing people, I love that stuff. Like,
yeah,
I barely get to see any science fiction films because essentially all science fiction films now are just like Tom Cruise running around blowing up ships and stuff, which is not a bad thing if you're into that. But I do enjoy some of that kind of hard. I do enjoy that sort of hard sci-fi where you get to see worlds you've never seen before, kind of thing. Like even if you look at what is that film? The movie with Bruce Willis and where he's in the future. Fifth Element. Yeah, like you see how the Fifth Element, that's essentially just an action film, but there's so much.
No, that's a fun movie.
Yeah, that's so much world building in that movie. Like you actually feel like you're in another world, and I guess that's what happened for Avatar as well for people because they love that movie so much. Mm-hmm. But that's what I enjoyed about Alien, the first one. It's like world building, but they're essentially in a ship and they go out and they're looking at the engineers, as I guess they were later on coined to be. I don't know if they weren't called engineers.
No, the engineers are the humans that made the humans.
Yeah, but I mean, you remember that statue that they find of the engineer with the elephant mask on that's calcified? That's what happened. They do a version of that here, but I guess they were statues of the engineer. I don't know what. Anyway, so that's what I liked about the first one. I didn't really care much that it turned into a slasher film, the original one, but they find it a perfect film. People say that's basically Ridley Scott's best movie ever made. Like, and he hasn't made a good movie since that. But that's I can't really say I've seen many of Ridley Scott's film. I don't remember. I haven't seen Blade Runner 2. That's a really bad one. I'm gonna see that once Part 2 comes out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna see that when Part 2 comes out. Anyway, so with Prometheus, we're talking about this about like basically this week. Alien Covenant just came out by the time of this recording. I saw most of it, and I can't talk about it. But with Prometheus, what's the layman's description of this film, Danny?
2 doctors, Elizabeth Shaw and Holloway. Basically, they're archaeologists, and they find lots of pictures all around the world that show that there's like aliens that created humans, basically.
You mean like cave paintings and stuff like that, not pictures?
Yeah, they find like cave paintings
okay.
all around the world.
It was funny because what I had seen, I was watching it on my phone at the beginning, and then I decided to watch it on a big screen. I misread the time because I thought it said 2009, the year that they found this, and I was like, what? Because then obviously the scene right after that, they were going into space and it was 2091. I was like, how's these motherfuckers still alive 90 years after they go to sleep in 2009? How'd that happen? But yeah, so
2090.
I actually thought that was her husband. I guess I was wrong. Shaw and her boyfriend Charlie Holloway, played by Logan Marshall Green. Let me see that actor.
He looks like someone.
He looks like Tom. What's his name? Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. He looks like Tom Hardy.
But in any case, so they find this like map in all the pictures, basically of a constellation, and they figure out there's a moon there. That's the only possible place it could be, and they convince this horrible billionaire asshole to take them there.
Yeah, Peter Wayland, played by Guy Pearce in unconvincing makeup. They can make.
What the hell was that about?
They can make 8-foot robots and stuff, or 8-foot alien men look really cool, but Guy Pearce, for some reason, they couldn't just hire an old actor.
Tell him who you think he looks like, by the way.
Oh, we'll get to that. The engineers, I'll get to that. Oh, actually, the movie starts out with this beautiful, like, Ridley Scott knows how to film a movie. There's no
and that's
question
New Zealand.
whether he can. Oh, really?
So
whether he can have a
New
film
Zealand.
that
Or is it
actually,
Iceland?
whether he could actually have a film that has, good storytelling in it. That's for other people. That's for others' interpretation. But God, does this movie look beautiful? It's a gorgeous looking film. His movies look beautiful.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not New Zealand. It's Iceland. My bad.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking film, and you see all these vistas and those lines. And I guess I don't know if that was Earth or not. It wasn't, right? Because
No, that wasn't
sure.
Earth. That wasn't Earth.
So at the beginning, you see this guy who looks like a giant. To me, the engineers, I don't know why anybody else didn't notice this, but as soon as I looked at the engineer's face, because the engineers are they're like, what, 8-foot sort of white guys with these Romanesque faces. I'll get to why they look the way they look. But they look like Trent Reznor to me. Like, they all look like Trent Reznor, and I don't know why, but they... Like, if you look at Trent Reznor now, because Trent Reznor has, like, he's, like, in his 50s now.
Yeah.
And he got all bulked up and muscular, and he has his hair all cropped, and it was like, this looks like fucking Trent Reznor, but like a super white. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why does he? Like, I really thought they picked or they designed it around his face or something.
I wonder
bothered
if they did.
me. And but another thing is, I was watching parts of the new one, or when I was looking up the drawing. I mean the illustrations of the engineer himself, and like behind the scenes
They all
photos and
look
stuff
like
like
Dave
that.
Grohl now.
He looks like I think that the engineers are based on like Renaissance art, like the statues, like their faces, and like maybe that's why I'm just throwing this
Or the
out there.
statues
Maybe
are based on them.
right, that's what I mean. Like the Renaissance artists based their statues on like like David and stuff like that. There's something like that in the beginning of Covenant where why
Shut
David
up.
gets his name
Don't
and
say
stuff
anything.
like that. Ah, who gives a shit? That movie
I give a
stinks. I mean,
shit. I haven't seen it yet.
trust me, you ain't gonna want to see it. But yeah, I think that's what the engineers like. I think that's a subtle thing. Although we know in truth all men came from Africa, isn't that the truth?
Yes.
Something like that. I think that's actually true, but still, this is not a movie that'll fly over people, the people of color, because to be known that they're made by an alien race and that's a white alien race.
Hey, well, we only saw one or two of them. There could have been black ones.
No, when you see the sequel, they're all whiteys.
Well, maybe that's a KKK division of the alien race. The engineers have their own like little segregated area.
But anyway, so the alien is wearing some kind of cloak. He's hanging out with two other, well, I guess the engineers, I'll call them. He gets in his space underwears, and he looks like a character from Street Fighter 3. One of those two guys that are split in colors. If you played that game, you know what I'm talking about. He opens up this little device, and it has this black sludge in it. And he drinks the black sludge, and he starts to mutate or discombobulate or something. He just kind of falls apart. And then what do you think that was? Like, that was just supposed to infect the land?
He basically sacrificed himself to
create life on Earth? I think that was Earth.
Life on this planet. It's not Earth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that might have been Earth, actually.
No,
I'm pretty... Why did you not think... Did it say it was an Earth in the beginning? I didn't see.
I don't... God damn it. I don't know.
See,
actually.
I think that might have been Earth, and that was him kind of destroying himself to create life. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
I don't think it's Earth.
Okay,
Maybe.
there you go. That's a definitive answer.
It's possible. I don't know.
Somebody look up the wiki.
It's a little open. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't think it's Earth.
Anyway, so we flash forward actually a lot of years, and we see these people that are part of the ship, this exploratory ship called the Prometheus, and has a bunch of actors that are playing them. Obviously,
What do
we
you
have
want?
we have Numi Rapace, the original
Girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, whatever. I forgot the character's name. I can't believe I forgot that name. She's playing Elizabeth Shaw. There's Michael Fassbender as David. He's an android or a synthetic, as they call him in this film. These are the movies that they're trying to. Ridley Scott is trying to hook up with Blade Runners. He's trying to say that those are the same synthetics in those worlds.
Right.
Although, wouldn't Blade Runner be before? Blade Runner is before Alien, isn't it? Timeline wise, because the new Blade Runner, is it 2049? Or am I wrong? Either way,
What is
whatever.
the year? What
There's
is the
also
year, actually?
There's also Charlize Theron, who's playing Meredith Vickers.
She's so
Idris
hot.
Elba, who is the gunslinger, who's playing Janik.
Oh, please don't call him that.
That's racist.
No, it's not racist. It's
and there's
gonna be a
other
terrible movie.
there's
Elizabeth
these other
Salander.
there's these kind of other throwaway actors in the film that you really honestly, if you watch this film, pretty much 80% of the characters are 2D, two dimensional. They don't have any depth to them. And essentially, what we're doing is like to bring it back to what I was talking about, Alien.
We got Magneto as David.
No shit, isn't that the second name I just said? But to go back to Alien, this film it's about a 2-hour film. The first hour is just like the first hour of Alien, where it's sort of exploring these worlds, and you don't need much dialogue. You're sort of just seeing this new planet with these characters, and you're although the characters in Alien are much more engaging and have more personality to them than this film. The only person with any personality maybe is Shaw and Janik, the pilot, played by Idris Elba. But Idris Elba sort of is like, he's sort of charismatic anyway, that actor. So whatever he does, even if he's not given much, he's sort of likable.
Yeah, he's a cool little extra character in this.
Yeah. But Elizabeth Shaw is a character that is interesting and because she sort of has I don't know if she has a character arc really. She's not really given a character arc where she has to like find herself.
She can't give birth, and she's fascinated with the idea that these guys engineered humans and blah blah blah.
And she's also fascinated with death, I think, because she has this idea that who created us, because her mother had passed away with a weird cameo by that actor, the guy who played Night Owl in Watchmen.
And he's also in all those stupid movies that
he's in Fargo too. All right, yeah. All those fucking movies. But anyway,
Annabelle and all this shit.
I don't understand how David was able to see memories of her as a child.
He was watching her dreams.
I understand that, but I don't know how he was able to see it in 2 shots, mediums, like a film. Because I would assume it would be a POV or something, but apparently when Elizabeth Shaw goes to sleep, she's able to dream like Ridley Scott directs a film. It's very strange. It's very unique that she's able to do that. So let's get into Charlize Theron's character, Meredith Vickers. Who is she?
She is such an asshole, but she's hot. But she's the daughter. Well, we don't find this out until later, but she's the daughter of.
Do you know she used to hook up with? Apparently, she used to hook up with Seth MacFarlane.
Really? Good for Seth MacFarlane.
Huh?
Good for him.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
Anyway, she is an MRF from Arrested Development. She's
oh, that's right. Yes.
She's the daughter of the guy that's funding this whole thing, Peter Wayland. And
yeah, we don't find that out until later. But the thing is, there are people now actually saying, is she actually a synthetic in the film? Like, is she? They have
no.
No, I actually read it a lot of places, because you know how Janik, the Idris Elba's character, he has like he actually hooks up with her in the film. Good for him. And he's like, are you a robot? And then she, I guess, you could look at it 2 different ways. She could be like, oh, that's, that's a charming thing he could say, or whatever. I guess that wouldn't be really charming. And the other way is, I got to prove to this guy that I'm not a robot by fucking him, even though I'm a robot.
Because, why would it be a big secret anyway?
I have no clue. I mean, David basically treats Wayland as his father, because they basically call each other father and son. If you watch Covenant,
but David would never. She cries. David would never
that's
cry.
True. I wish you had seen Covenant.
You know what? I have to inspect her vagina to see if she's a human.
But
There's only one way to tell.
You open it up and a buzzsaw comes out. But she's sort of 2-dimensional in a way that she's sort of like this hardline, company man in the film, where she's basically the boss of this ship, and they're there to go. I don't understand what I forgot why they even went to the fucking thing. Like, what were they looking for?
They were trying to find the engineers that were
no. What was the real for her reason? They understood
Peter,
that was Wayland's reason.
Her dad wanted to meet the engineers and try to live, basically.
Yeah, but she didn't buy that shit. She was just like looking. I guess they were looking for other resources themselves.
Because
Like
she
they didn't
wanted
buy.
to. She's running her dad's company, and she wanted to go because her dad wanted to go.
And obviously, if you've seen any of the films, Wayland Yutani, that's the company from Alien, and I guess they must have merged after this because Prometheus does take place before Alien. Although watching it, you realize like Ridley Scott doesn't give a shit about Alien. Like he already told his Alien story with Alien. With these films, well, at least this film, he wanted to go more into the exploratory area of space, which I dig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can tell the company was like, put more aliens in this. Like every 3 seconds, he was like, "Oh, for God's sakes!" You know, he's trying to direct the movie, and like he just wants to make a movie about exploration in space because he's not like James Cameron, where he just wants to shoot, aliens getting fucking blown out of their ass and stuff like that, which is great. I love Aliens. I don't give a shit. I was watching.
James Cameron did a great job, but yeah, no. I was about to say Blade Runner. Ridley Scott is really into like world building, and which is like Blade Runner too.
And the thing is, like, Alien originally was created by Dan O'Bannon, a writer who did.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Of course, yeah, Dan O'Bannon. But then Walter Hill, who did The Warriors, fixed up the script. Apparently, I was listening to a interview with him, and he was saying, "Oh, the original script was shit." But the thing is, Dan O'Bannon brought in H.R. Geiger for the design, so you're kind of wondering what the fuck did Ridley Scott do with Alien? Like, what did he actually do? Like, he obviously made some decisions because the director pretty much has final say, unless you're Tobe Hooper, and like he must have had a lot of stuff that he had some. Yeah, he did. Remember the one that Steven Seagal directed? No, Steven Spielberg directed Poltergeist. If it was a Steven Seagal movie, Poltergeist, that would be great. Imagine Steven Seagal walking around that house and he's like karate kicking the chairs.
No, he directed it though.
He'll be in it too. He'll be like that part where he's talking on the phone and he turns around and all the chairs are standing up and he'll probably just start kicking the air and you hear like
he
thumps
starts karate chopping the chairs.
He's like beating up that clown and shit. That would have been a great movie. He'll jump into the TV. Yeah, no, I want to see that movie.
He's a great writer. I'm just looking through his thing. It's like, oh yeah, he wrote like Total Recall.
I think he originally did a script for Batman where he had the Riddler in it too. But then Tim Burton told him to go fuck himself.
And Return of the Living Dead, of course, which is one of the best zombie movies ever made.
You know what's funny? Here's a creepy thing. Return of the Living Dead, which is one of the best zombie movies of all time. I was watching the Return of the Living Dead documentary that you can see on YouTube. Yeah. And there's one of the actors that are one of the punks in the film. I think he's one of the earlier guys that gets killed off. Like he's narrating it, and then I was looking up. Apparently he was a producer on like a kids show, and he fucked a kid or something.
Oh Jesus.
And so they arrested him, but now he still works on Nickelodeon shows. So
why do they allow pedophiles to exist in Hollywood? What the fuck?
I wonder why. Pedophiles in Hollywood, I wonder why.
No, I know,
wonder why
but
they let him
why is that like such a thing? What the fuck?
So, if you watch the documentary, the Return of the Living Dead, More Brains, you see that pervert there. I enjoyed that documentary, but now I'm like, oh no, when I found out.
Horrible.
And he works on Nickelodeon. That's where all kids are. Why would you even...
Yeah. It's
what the fuck? I don't understand. Anyway, so back to Prometheus. Like so Vickers is essentially the company man. She wants. I assume that she's looking for natural resources to bring back because they apparently spent trillions of dollars to put this together. They never say how Wayland got money like that.
You got to figure inflation.
That's true. So Elizabeth Shaw is there. She's obsessed with finding out, about life and who created life because, essentially that is a question that all mankind has, and I don't think we'll ever get the answer. If you're a religious person, you have your answers. Although in that sense, if somebody dies and you're crying about it, then like why? Because you're getting their somebody's getting their answer. So they get this ragtag group of people. I think it's about like 12 or 15 people that get on this ship, and they fly off to this planet. And they at least they keep it consistent with wearing suits outside, and the suits look cool, and the suits are all like futuristic looking. But they look like realistic in a way that they're not wearing like cyborg exosuits with fucking robot arms and shit like that. They're just wearing
it's still like kind of the timeline we have now almost.
Yeah, and they eventually go into these sort of cavernous areas underneath, and they find that the air is breathable. And Shaw's boyfriend takes his mask off under protest from everybody else, but he's able to breathe. And essentially, what they're finding out is that this space was inhabited by giant, sort of 8-foot men. And what's weird is that they find white men that look human. They find these giant statues of heads and stuff that look like, human beings.
They look like Trent Reznor.
Face white. They look like Trent Reznor. There's like a 9 Inch Nails album out there. But what is going on in this film? Like, what do you think?
Trent Reznor was their biggest creation. They specifically engineered him.
But what do you think the point of this first hour was? What do you think Ridley Scott is doing with this first hour of the film? Do you think he's just sort of like having fun world building, or what?
Yeah, I think he's having fun world building. Everybody complains about it. Like, what the fuck, man? Oh, there's not 8,000 aliens killing people. We've seen that 70 times. Like, come on.
It's so funny because that's what's happening basically with Alien Covenant. Because Alien Covenant, when it came out, it didn't make as much money as Prometheus did. Because I'll tell you this, the trailer for Prometheus, even though I saw the movie basically 5 years after the trailer came out, to me it was one of the best trailers I had ever seen in a theater. Especially if you're watching it. Basically, they aped the original Alien trailer with that weird sound effect, like the danger sound effect.
Right.
And if you watch that trailer, it's one of the best trailers for Prometheus. But it made like 51 million in the theaters. Like the first week it was out. It's not crazy money, but still.
I don't know what any of that stuff means. But.
And this now, this one just made out 38 million, which is not a good sign for this movie because he wants to make 3 or 4 different, sort of alien prequels. Because I think he said the alien shit was done to death. He doesn't count the second film Aliens as canon. He doesn't find Alien obviously 3 and 4. No, he doesn't like those movies. Those are not. Apparently,
like the second one by James Cameron.
No, that's not to his vision. And there's a lot of people. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people who do not like Cameron's Alien, because Aliens, because to them they felt the first Alien was more of a psychological, thinking man science fiction that turns into horror. Yeah. And they think Aliens is just sort of this wacky science fiction action film. And they hate that the way that the alien is sort of dealt with because...
You know what? It's honestly the same exact thing with Terminator 1 and Terminator 2.
Why is that?
Well, the first one's like a horror movie.
Well, basically. Yeah.
I mean, but it's like a thinking horror movie. Like, it's scary. It's like scary.
Not Terminator 1 is a thinking horror. The second one, I would think, is a thinking man's horror movie.
No, I think the first one is way more like psychological because it's more just like the idea of this.
Okay, psychological horror. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's thinking man's horror. The second one is thinking man's horror.
But then like the second one is just like exploding motorcycles going off of bridges and shit. Like like it's way more like just eye candy sort of thing. I love both of them.
Say hello to Wolfie. Hi, Wolfie. Anyway, so but with people's problem with Aliens because they like that everything was implied in Alien. You know what I mean? You didn't get a full answer. You see this, and plus the statues of the fucking engineers were about 95 times the size of a human. Like if you watch it, the original version, they actually had children dressed up in the spacesuits. So they can look even smaller against that giant sort of sitting engineer, the one with the elephant mask, and that wasn't explained at all. And then also like they had face huggers in there, that wasn't explained. But that's what made it a little bit weirder. So when they gave that sort of hierarchy in Aliens with the alien queen giving birth to these aliens, that bugged the shit out of people. Haha, get it? Because they felt like that gave too much. That made the aliens a little bit too insectoid. Even though obviously watching the movie, they look like fucking insects, but it gave them too much of an insectoid sort of.
It's a fucking spider.
I know that's fingers. What people. That's what they feel. So people obviously have problems with all these films. But anyway, so going back to Prometheus, I do think it's Ridley Scott having fun and building a mystery, and I think he's losing that with Alien Covenant because if you watch any part of Alien Covenant, just watch the trailer. You haven't seen the trailer, have you? Right? I'm not sure.
I purposely haven't seen it. I'm just gonna watch it.
So yeah, if you just look at the trailer, essentially it just looks like Aliens, like a continuation of Aliens. Like they were like,
I mean,
listen,
that's
Ridley.
Fine with me.
They're like, really, because he said he realized what the problem is with Prometheus is that he didn't have enough of the alien in it. And I'm like, you don't. If you didn't have enough alien in it, then you would have put him in the fucking movie. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the alien doesn't show up in the movie at all. It just shows up like in the last 3 seconds of the film, like after the credits.
Well,
and shit.
kind of a quasi-alien.
He didn't want to make it. This wasn't like an alien film. It was a space film. You know what I mean?
I just, you know what? Actually, no. Don't say anything. I don't want to know anything. Just let me. I'm gonna watch it.
And people are really astounded by the stupidity of some of the characters. Like, I didn't really think any. Like, rewatching, obviously,
Fifield is quite stupid.
There's two characters that are really stupid in this film. Very stupid. One that's
with Fifield. I can't think of his name. At the Milburn.
Milburn and Fifield are two of the biggest fucking morons I've ever seen on film. Because people really think that all the characters act stupid in this film, and I'm like, really, the only ones that I thought acted
the only ones that are like really blatantly stupid is Fifield and Milburn.
Yeah, because they're looking around, they're collecting samples, and they find a fucking, it's a cobra alien, like it's an alien cobra creature. Hey, I mean, it opens up its face like a cobra does.
First of all, the fact that they leave the group is stupid.
Right, and the guy's playing around with the cobra, and I'm like, well, what do you? I mean. Like, David Lindelof, like, people got really pissed at him for this film. Like, he almost didn't work for a while. Because he did Lost. Basically, he kind of kept himself in the shadows after this film. I also don't understand
the motivation of, at the end. Like, I get why Idris Elba's character sacrifices himself. But I don't understand the other two guys that are like, yeah, we'll kill ourselves even though we don't have to. Sure.
I guess this movie is really all about faith, if you really think about it. Because... Peter Whalen had faith in Shaw. Shaw had faith in, that there was engineers out there. And then Janek had faith in Shaw that something bad was going to happen if they didn't do something. So there's a lot of faith going on in this film. And those two characters, those two assholes that got themselves killed by the aliens, they were like really stupid. Vickers, everybody else is pretty much one note. So they all die in these weirdo cheap deaths.
Surprisingly, the most developed character besides like Shaw is David, who's
David, because obviously this film was essentially a like a solo piece for him, because he's the most interesting character in the film, because he's like he's a robot. You're seeing a robot's
he's the one that's like
stuff.
Basically initiating everything, but you don't know it's because he's being given secret instructions by
Wayland.
Peter Wayland, yeah.
And plus, it's the whole thing with, engineers made humans, humans made robots. Essentially, you're trying to perfect a creature. You know what I mean? You're like, what is a god if you don't know, who your god is, sort of thing. But Damon Lindelof got a lot of shit because if you discuss Damon Lindelof, he's a writer that gets a lot of shit because he doesn't know how to have endings, I guess. And if you're a fan of Lost, that's true. Because Lost was a show that I enjoyed 5 seasons of. And I sort of enjoyed the final season. It was 6 seasons, right? That show.
It does have an ending. It's just like a fucking...
It does have an ending. It just doesn't make any sense. It was so funny that...
it makes sense. It's just very...
Oh, that's true. These two ancient gods live on an island, and they have
Don't ruin it for people.
A thing that... if you go through the water that's like golden lights through, you'll turn into a ghost man. Yeah, it made complete sense. That made absolute sense. That was stupid. But, like, it was so funny because there's a show that I watch on Amazon called Bosch, and it stars the Man in Black, the smoke man.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it. I was like, why do I know this actor? It's like,
well, he's John
I had
Locke
made myself
forget.
It made me forget. I made myself forget that he was the character in that show. But then also, like, hello? Yeah, yeah, Damon Lindelof. Now he's doing this thing called The Leftovers, which it's my favorite show on television right now. And there's only like 2 episodes left, and I'm just dreading.
I can't believe it's still going.
I'm dreading that final episode because if he fucks that up, I'm gonna be really upset. But every episode so far this season has been incredible. So he knows how to write characters. He doesn't know how to write them in this film. Maybe David and Shaw. That's it. But nobody else is that good because Peter Whalen.
Charlie's okay. Holloway.
Yeah, but they should have got a real actor.
And Janek is okay. That Idris Elba for the 5 minutes he's in it, he's actually a very fun character.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting group of sort of 2D characters. There's nothing really like. Tell me about your thoughts about who's the worst and who's the best character.
I mean, I think the worst characters as far as like being completely undeveloped, or as far as being stupid?
I mean, your choice. Like, do you think that there's some really standout characters, like Vickers
Well,
compared to David?
David's amazing, and I like Elizabeth Shaw too, like the main girl. She's okay, like I like her, but I can't. I don't really like Holloway, her boyfriend, because he's just stupid, kind of. I
Yeah,
don't
he's
not.
sort of one note.
Yeah, he's annoying. Like I don't understand what the hell he's talking about. Why he's like all upset, and Fifield is and Milburn are just actually stupid, like that they get themselves killed. But yeah, no, I don't know why I find this so annoying with the two other pilots that like sacrificed their life so happily. Like, oh, I guess we're gonna die. Like they're all like cheery about it. Like, what
Right.
the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like,
And what's strange is that
you don't
it's
have to die. Get the hell out of there.
what's weird is that like there's a definite tone and shift an hour into the film because like when Shaw's boyfriend gets infected and stuff like that by David, and it's funny, it's weird how David is never kind of caught out for what he does in the film. He's never like, well, he is punished in the film for a different reason,
Yeah, when
but
he gets
like
decapitated.
yeah, like an hour into the film, it's like, oh, this is interesting, and then like as soon as she wakes up and then she's impregnated by this, this whatever the fucking
Squid.
organism that was inside her boyfriend, then it becomes like a completely different film. For the last hour of the film, it feels like I was gonna say Rodney Dangerfield directed this. Oh, I'll tell you. But it, like Ridley Scott was like
These squids
there.
get no respect.
He was like did an hour of this film, and he was like, oh, damn, I have to put action, and then he like the last hour is just like crazy nut action, and then like completely shifts the tone of the film. And like the first, it's the same feeling I had with the first Alien. It's like out
That's
of
great.
nowhere, this weird action.
What's
Now, I
the
didn't like.
problem?
I just didn't like how like forceful the shift was. Like it was just like, okay, now we can't think at all. Like we did the first hour of this film. Now it has to be like, I understand that's how real life is, where you're sort of in the shit and you have to
Also,
deal
I
with
don't
stuff.
like the actual engineers. Like, what is their motivation? Like, I know I get it. They're supposed, but like they're too like I don't know. I
Apparently,
feel
what
like they wouldn't
happens
be
is
so quick to do that. I feel like they would be like a little surprised for a second, like, oh, I just got
yeah, and
woken
there's
up
like
out of this.
there's plenty of deleted scenes. I only saw one deleted scene where they actually speak with the engineer because they don't talk in the film. And
Okay,
David actually talks with the engineer before he pulls his head right off.
right.
And he's because David has been studying all these sort of ancient languages and stuff like that. And the engineer's talking to him, and then they're going back and forth talking to Peter Whalen, which is an interesting scene, but they cut it out of the final film. So you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, he just kind of goes insane and rips David's head off for no reason.
Yeah,
It
but
kills
it's like
everybody.
he just woke up from like this like 1,000-year slumber or something.
Because apparently, what the engineers are
Instantly.
doing, the engineers were planning to kill off the human race, the race that they created. So I guess they
Yeah,
must
they
have
were
had
gonna
some sort of
launch the poison planet to Earth.
yeah. So apparently, the engineers had a problem with their own creation. I don't know why. It's not explained. There's no reason
Well,
for
that's
it.
the plot of the second one, I hope, but don't tell me if it is or isn't.
From what I saw, no. So
Okay.
because
Because
they
it
got
leaves
different,
off where
they got completely different. Because here's the thing, really, this is what I'm thinking, and this is not to spoil the second one. I'm not, but essentially, I bet you what happened was Scott had an idea for a second one, and then Fox said, "Oh, you want to make that movie? Make it with your own money. This one, you better put a fucking alien in it, because that's what this one is." And I'll tell you
Right.
this shit: there's no fucking face huggers in the second film, but there's aliens. So I don't know what that's about. Okay,
Is
that's
it face
bizarre.
huggers?
Not from what I've seen. I've only seen.
Well, I mean, the squid that she gave birth to was like a giant face hugger.
yeah, so there's shenanigans like that in that film, but what do you think are the strong points? It's like it's with this film. I feel like I can talk a lot about it, but I just don't know what to talk about.
Well, it's fucking
So we got to keep it a
beautiful
little
looking. It looks beautiful.
right.
Like, I mean, that's definitely the main thing about it. But it's just, I don't know. It's like fun. It's just like
I felt
fucking,
I think it's an
I don't know why
uneven
everybody
film.
everybody hates it. Like, I don't understand why.
It's a beautiful.
I do understand certain aspects. Like the characters aren't that great. Like, yeah, I know.
It's an uneven film, but it's a beautiful film, and the soundtrack is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a theme. There's a song called "Life" that's in it. Trying to wonder. I forgot who did the original. I thought it was Michael Giacchino who did the music, but I could be wrong because Michael Giacchino is the guy who did the music for Lost.
Okay.
I gotta see if there's who did the soundtrack for
Well,
this.
that would make sense because
Right, because he worked on Lost.
Lindelof.
But I don't know. There's plenty of positives for me at least that I found it interesting because it wasn't sort of a typical science fiction American film. I was wrong. The guy is actually Mark Stratenfeld. I think Gianchino was on it, but they got rid of him. But it's Mark Stratenfeld, and the soundtrack is fantastic. It's paired with that the visuals. It's a fantastic looking film. And I think what happens is that Lindelof probably had an idea where to go, but then they just didn't know what to do with it, and they were obviously opening it up for sequels because they thought this was going to be a superior franchise, a new franchise in Aliens.
Three Prometheus movies or something. I remember hearing.
Yeah, but that's what happened is that a lot of people just didn't like that there were no aliens in the film, which sucks because this isn't that type of
story.
I know, but that's the thing. You don't sell Alien on an origin story. It's almost like going to, hey, let's do Halloween, but let's go to the insane asylum where he is before Michael Myers gets there. Let's make a movie about that. It's like, what? Like, what the fuck? I don't want to see that. Like, people pissing their pants? Like, what kind of movie is that?
I don't mind that either because I want to see how he came to be.
That's what Rob Zombie did in his Rob Zombie did it in his fantastic remake.
I mean, those movies
that people
weren't the
hate.
best, but like, it was cool to see Mike Myers origin. I mean, I'm not the.
But I think Mike Myers works without an origin. Honestly, he's better without an origin
but
because
I'm just saying, if you're gonna make an origin movie of something, you have to show what came before the thing that you know.
Although the superior Halloween was it part 5 where they show him as a child raised by a cult to kill people? That makes sense, right? That's much better than.
I like when you find out he's like a demon or something.
Ironically, also one of the actors from the new Alien Covenant, Danny McBride. You know that fat guy from Eastbound and Down, the comedic actor from.
I don't know. I'm looking him up.
Did you see that weed movie with Seth Rogen and what's his face?
I know this guy.
Remember that weed movie that they did?
No. Oh okay. Yeah.
And there was that guy who was with
Express, yeah.
Yeah, and they had that fat guy that was with him. He's in the new Alien Covenant, and he wrote the new. He's co-writing the new Halloween film. So.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a good thing. So. What did you take away from this film? I feel like we've been rambling about nothing for the past like nearly 40 minutes because I don't know what the fuck I talked about in this episode.
I think that this is a decent movie. It's not the best movie, but definitely worth checking out. And just ignore all the hate because at the very least, it's fun to watch visually. Like, it's not a terrible movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I think in the long run, it's a film
Alien
that
first. Watch Alien 1 and 2 first, then watch this.
It's a film that is trying to be exploratory. It's trying to be something different for American science fiction. And unfortunately, it's straddled by people wanting Alien.
What would you rate this?
I would give this movie a 7 out of 10 giant white Trent Reznors running around ripping people's heads off.
Okay, I would give this also 7. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Your boyfriend comes black goo into your barren womb, granting it life to squids.
I really felt like we could have talked more about this, but I had no idea what to talk about. It really is. It's a really strange movie to talk about because there's a lot to talk about.
To anybody listening to this, well, obviously anybody listening to this has obviously seen the movie, or we just spoiled it for you, so never mind. But
it's a flawed film, but it's enjoyable.
If you're revisiting it, it's been a while since you've seen the movies. Watch Alien 1, the first one, then watch Aliens, then watch this. That would be my rewatch order.
Yeah. So with that, Danny, what's the
what's
the final word?
Danny,
what's the final word? Say that again.
Chewed up Cheerios.
Very good. Danny, what's the final word?
Chewed up Cheerios.
The HorrorDeconstruction.